today we're going to react children God stories. Let's go.
I was walking alone at night when a police officer started walking beside me and grabbed my arm. Don't react and keep walking. Someone's following you. I subtly turned around and saw a man in a dark hood 30 feet behind me, matching my pace. I stopped for a second and he instantly leaned against the wall, trying to seem discreet. The officer told me to stay calm and walk with him. He guided me forward, gripping my arm so tight I couldn't pull away even if I wanted to. I kept glancing back and the man was now closer. That's when he walked through a streetlight and the light shined down on something metallic sticking from his pocket. My whole body went cold. I pressed closer to the officer and told him what I saw. He nodded and said, "Don't worry, we'll get you home. You're safe with me." But then he started steering us away from the lit up main road and onto a darker sidewalk, almost like he was leading me somewhere specific. That, plus his grip on my arm, made me feel uneasy. But when I turned around, the man was now walking straight at me, holding the metallic object and no longer trying to be discreet. I knew I had no choice but to trust the officer. I told him the man was closer, and he looked around, pointing to an alleyway nearby. "This cuts through to the other side of the street. You can call a cab from there." He gripped my arm even tighter and pulled me. I was about to just go with it, but then I saw a taxi sitting 50 feet in front of me with its light on. I told the officer, "I'll just take this one," but his grip tightened. The man is still too close and the alleyway is safer. He tried pulling me again, but I yanked my arm free and sprinted toward the cab. He reached for me again, but I was too far away. I got in and locked the door, shaking and unsure what to even think. Then 3 weeks later, I was watching the morning news, and my coffee slipped out of my hands. 2 men were arrested for the murder of a woman. The officer who grabbed my arm and the man in the hood. They worked together. The man followed her at night, and the officer lured her into an alleyway under the guise of safety. The woman who trusted the officer never came home to her kids. I was walking alone at night when a police officer started walking beside me and grabbed my arm. "Don't react and keep walking." We were sitting in the living room watching Shark Tank when my daughter looked at me and said, Mommy, I'm gonna be the youngest CEO in the whole neighborhood." The next weekend, she set up a lemonade stand, but instead of mixing regular Country Time lemonade like every other kid, she came up with a bright idea. She spent the morning in our kitchen, mixing what she called gourmet flavors, watermelon mint, strawberry basil, and something she called lavender honey that actually tasted incredible. She printed labels from our home printer and charged 50 cents more per cup than every other kid on the block. Our neighbor, Mrs. Haggerty, was having a yard sale that weekend. Mia knocked on her door and offered her 10% of her profits to set up in front of her driveway for the foot traffic. She was out there at 7 in the morning with a painted sign and little sample cups for people to try before they bought. She sold out by noon. Saturday afternoon, she recruited 2 neighborhood kids and gave them matching visors. She trained them on how to greet customers and how to make change. By Sunday morning, she was running a 3-person operation from our front yard. That's when the man in the BMW pulled up. He looked at the stand and said he only had Apple Pay. Mia reached under the table and pulled out her dad's portable card reader. She held it up to him and said, "No problem, sir. You can swipe, tap, or contactless. No excuses." His mouth dropped open while a 9-year-old processed his credit card for $3 worth of lemonade. An hour later, a kid 3 houses down set up his own stand. Mia walked over with her biggest smile and said, "Hey, Noah, want to merge? We'd cover way more customers together." Intimidated by her professional setup, he agreed immediately. Within an hour, she'd absorbed his whole operation and put him in charge of what she called their satellite location. By the end of the weekend, she counted everything out on the kitchen table, $217. She looked at her dad and said, "I just made more money than your Starbucks habit costs you in a week." Then she pulled out a notebook and started flipping through pages of profit margins and expense tracking for every flavor. I asked her where she learned about profit margins. She looked at me like it was the most obvious thing in the world. "YouTube, Mom. There's tutorials for everything." We were sitting in the living room watching.
That one with the apple pie is funny. It's funny. It's fun.
My daughter came home holding candy, and I instantly asked, "Where'd you get that?" She just smiled. "An old man was at the bus stop today. He gave it to us." Alarm bells started going off in my head. The next morning, I walked with her to the bus station. The man was standing there holding a bowl of candy. He just started handing them out, and I knew something had to be wrong. I grabbed my daughter's arm. "Wait, don't eat that." I took it from her and checked it for anything bad. The man just smiled at me, but when Sadie's mom saw him, she panicked. "What are you giving my daughter? Stay away from her, you creep." He looked upset and just walked away without looking back. I was confused, but when he showed up the next day, Sadie's mom lost it. She started calling him a stalker and called the police. He tried to tell her he wanted to keep them safe, but she knew something had to be wrong. The police came and put him in handcuffs, but he kept saying he was keeping them safe. I thought it was weird, but when I was watching the news that night, I couldn't believe it. Apparently he had a heart attack later that day, but they were saying he was a hero. Apparently his daughter was waiting for the bus playing too close to the road and got hit by a car. So the old man would go to bus stops and hand out her favorite candy to keep other kids away from the road. All he wanted to do was make sure none of us had to go through the same pain he did. My daughter came home holding candy, and I instantly asked, "Where'd you get that?" She just smiled. An old man was at the bus stop today. He gave it to us. I was pushing my baby on the swings when an old woman walked up to us and said, "Such a beautiful baby. May I see his shoulder?" I immediately pulled my son off the swing and backed away. As we left, I heard her whisper, "The birthmark. I need to see if he has the birthmark." 2 weeks later, she was parked in front of our building, hunched over her steering wheel crying. When she saw me notice her, she drove away quickly. I held my baby extra tight that night and decided to take him to a smaller park 6 blocks away, just to be safe. But she showed up there too, this time with a teddy bear. The tag was still on it, but it looked old, like it had been saved for decades. I grabbed my son out of the swing and yelled, "Leave us alone!" But she latched onto my shoulder and said, "Please, I just need to know about the birthmark. Does he have a star-shaped mark on his left shoulder?" I yanked her hand off and threatened to call the police. She backed off but followed us home at a distance, repeating, "My son had the same mark. Please just tell me." The next time she was at the park, a woman was with her saying, "Mom, you have to stop this. It's been 40 years. James is gone." The older woman broke down completely. "He's not gone. If I could just see the birthmark, I'd know." That's when I'd had enough. I marched over with my baby in my arms, but froze when I saw her holding an old picture of a baby that somehow looked exactly like mine. "What's going on? Who is that?" I freaked out. The old woman said, "This is my son James. My ex-husband kidnapped him when he was a baby." Then she pointed at my son's shoulder. James had a perfect star right there. "Tell me, does your son have it too?" She looked so desperate and broken that I finally answered her. I pulled my son's sleeve back to show her the star-shaped birthmark on his left shoulder. The old woman's legs gave out. Her daughter caught her as she sobbed uncontrollably. "My husband has the same birthmark," I said, "and he's adopted." The old woman looked at me and whispered, "What's your husband's name?" "James." I was pushing. My daughter asked me, "Mom, can I dye my hair blonde?" I knocked my chair back so hard it hit the wall. "What did you just say to me?" Juliet flinched. "I just asked if I could dye my— No, stop. Something is wrong with you. You told your aunt she looked like a burnt corn husk for going blonde. You told a girl her hair looked like it was dipped in piss. And now you want to be blonde?" She started crying. "Why are you screaming at me? It's literally just a color." I should have felt guilty, but I knew something was seriously wrong with my daughter. The next morning, Juliet walked into the kitchen asking me to make her scrambled eggs. I spat out my water because Juliet has gagged at eggs her entire life. I made them anyway because I needed to watch her eat them. She ate every single bite. "Thanks, Mom. These were really good." I called my best friend for help. She said I was spiraling. My mom told me to stop smothering Juliet. Her father just said, "Relax." Nobody was listening to me, but I wasn't wrong, because before she went to bed, she said, "Good night, Petra." She saw my horrified face and bonked her head. "Sorry, Mom. I meant Mom." Juliet had never called me Mom before. That weekend, we went to the mall because I needed to do something normal with her, but then she stopped in front of a mirror and said, "I really think I'd look good blonde." I grabbed her by the shoulders and turned her around to face me. "Why do you keep saying that? You have hated blonde hair your entire life. What is happening to you?" Juliet shoved me off. "Why can't I just want something different without you completely losing it?" "Because you're not my daughter. Why won't anybody believe me?" I was crying now. Juliet was backing away from me. Then a man walked over and said he was a psychiatrist and could help. The psychiatrist asked, "Juliet, do you have gaps in your memory?" She looked scared. "Sometimes I'm at school and then I'm home and I don't remember the drive." He recorded the session and then played parts of it back for her. She watched in horror. "That's not me. I didn't say that. That was 11 minutes ago, Juliet." He sat back in his chair. "Juliet, what I'm about to tell you is going to be hard to hear, but I need you to listen." She was shaking. "You have something called dissociative identity disorder. The blonde hair, the eggs, calling your mother Petra. That wasn't you, Juliet. There is someone else in your mind, and when she comes forward, you don't remember any of it." Juliet looked terrified. Juliet started treatment that same month. The alter's name is Eloise. She likes scrambled eggs and calls me Petra. Juliet still hates blonde hair. Eloise still asks to dye it. Some mornings I can tell who I'm talking to before she even opens her mouth. My daughter asked me, "Mom, can I dye my hair blonde?" "Keep smiling or you're sleeping outside tonight," my mom said while someone from Child Protective Services knocked on our front door. We'd been filming our morning routine for the 13th time because I kept blinking wrong. My face ached from holding the same smile since 6 a.m., and the ring lights had burned fresh marks up both my arms. My mom yanked my sleeves down over the burns before she opened the door. My dad grabbed my school workbook off the counter and shoved it under the couch. The woman at the door held up a badge and introduced herself as Melinda. "A viewer sent us screenshots of bruises and burns on your daughter from your recent videos." My mom walked around behind Melinda where only I could see her face twist into a silent threat. I smiled with all my teeth showing. "Everything is amazing here. I love making videos with my parents every single day." Melinda swiped to a photo on her tablet and held it up. "Then why do you have a black eye covered with makeup in this video from last week?" "I hit a doorknob because I'm clumsy and my mom helped me cover it so viewers wouldn't worry." Melinda looked at me and back at my parents. "She's 10. Why isn't she in school right now?" My mom cut in fast. "She doesn't need school. She makes more money than most adults. Show me her schoolwork." My mom just stared at her. We don't waste time on books when she could be filming. Melinda stood up straighter. I need to speak with your daughter alone. My dad stepped forward, but Melinda held up her badge. Refuse and I call the police. Your choice. They went into the kitchen, but left the door cracked open. Melinda put a piece of paper in my hands. Read this out loud for me. I stared at the page for a long time and just held it up and smiled. I love reading. She put a pen in my hand. Write your name for me. My hand hovered over the paper, but I couldn't remember how to spell it. Everything is perfect, I whispered, and my eyes went to the cracked door. Melinda leaned in close enough that only I could hear. I'm getting them out of this room. She stood up and opened the kitchen door. Leave this house completely, or I call for backup right now. My dad slammed the front door on his way out. She sat back down and looked at me. Where do you sleep? My jaw ached from smiling all day, and my eyes burned. In the basement. I walked her downstairs to a concrete floor with 2 thin blankets and no pillow. Melinda photographed everything and rolled my sleeves up and looked at the burns running up both arms. How did these happen? The lights get really hot during filming. She went straight to my parents and pulled out her phone. Your daughter can't read. She can't write her name. She's covered in burns and she sleeps on concrete. I am removing her from your care right now. My dad gripped the door frame. This kid is our property and we own everything she makes. Melinda held the phone closer to his face. 2 officers showed up 20 minutes later and my aunt was right behind them. She knelt down in front of me and wrapped both arms around my shoulders. You never have to smile for a camera again. Keep smiling or you're sleeping outside.
Sorry.
My mom looked me in the eyes and said, if you disappeared tomorrow, no one would even notice. Everyone laughed. I raised my hot dog and said, challenge accepted. That night, I packed 2 suitcases and left my key on the kitchen counter. No note, no goodbye. I'd spent 29 years organizing every holiday, baking every birthday cake, and cleaning up after everyone while they took selfies without me in them. I moved 3 hours away to a cabin by the lake and blocked every number in my phone. First week, my phone stayed silent, exactly like mom predicted. Week 2, my brother tried calling 47 times. Nobody could figure out how to work the washing machine I'd been fixing for years. He ended up buying new underwear instead of learning the spin cycle. Week 3, my sister showed up at my old job crying and begging my coworkers for my number. She couldn't figure out how to renew her car registration, the same one I'd been handling since she was 16. She'd never even been to the DMV. Month 2, my dad missed his blood pressure medication for 3 weeks straight because nobody remembered his refill schedule. He ended up in urgent care. The doctor asked if he had any family support at home. He just stared at the floor. By month 3, my mom had a full breakdown when she realized I'd been handling every birthday, every anniversary, and every doctor appointment for the entire family. She hired a professional organizer for $200 a week to do what I'd done for free my entire adult life. The organizer quit after 2 weeks because mom kept telling her to just handle it the way I used to. Meanwhile, I was taking pottery classes by the lake and sleeping in past 7 for the first time in my life. Mom finally tracked down my number and called sobbing. We fell apart without you. Your father can't find his own socks. Your brother flooded the laundry room trying to fix the washer. I listened to her cry. The same woman who told me no one would notice. Challenge completed, mom, and I hung up. Turns out people do notice when you disappear. They just never bothered to notice when you're there doing everything for them. My mom looked me in the eyes and said,
So that's all.